Hello everybody, my name's Simon Holden and this is my YouTube channel Holden's Horses and Sports with a very special video all about the upcoming American election and how I think there are two excellent wagers to be had about the outcome. Well, many years ago, Otto von Bismarck said politics is the art of the possible. Well, he may have been right, but political betting is all about the art of the probable. And I make my living telling myself to sort my own bets out and telling all my clients, whatever we're betting on, we must always look to bet on an outcome which is more probable than the odds currently suggest. I believe, and I have a good, solid background in political betting, that I have two very solid wagers in this upcoming election whose outcome is more probable than the odds currently suggest. And you may find this hard to believe, but I believe there is a huge clue in Blackpool, the seaside town in northern England, a huge clue in Blackpool as to the outcome of the upcoming American election. Seems odd at first, but please, in a few minutes, let me explain. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my political betting history. I've been fascinated by politics and betting on politics, which is a much bigger operation than many of you would see wherever you are. If you're watching this in America, in the UK, in Europe, in Australia, political betting is now huge, and millions of pounds were bet on the previous American election when Donald Trump overturned the odds and beat Hillary Clinton to claim an unlikely victory. Also, Brexit. I predicted the outcome of Brexit. The favorite was that the UK would remain in the European Union, but we didn't. We left, dumbfounding many of the pollsters and many of the so-called experts. Also, in the last UK election last December, I predicted the Conservatives would win an outright majority to almost the extent they did, which was a huge shock on the night when the details of the exit poll were released, giving the Tories an 80-seat majority. Many people nearly fell off their chairs. So you're in pretty safe hands. Nothing is guaranteed. Never bet more than you can afford to lose, but I certainly have a pedigree in calling this because I look at different factors to which the pollsters do, and the factors I look at seem to work time and time again. Now, I'll come to that. Now, why Blackpool all of a sudden? Now, Blackpool was a touchstone seat. It was a seat that the Labour Party at the last election was supposed to win easily, but it was one, in fact, that the pollsters completely misread and turned blue, part of a blue wall for the Tories, which got them a big majority. Now, why would this mean anything to the upcoming American election? Let me tell you why. It means it because the pollsters completely misunderstood how ordinary people were thinking. Ordinary people were thinking that the Tories were the way forward and they wanted to reject socialism. Now, let me quickly say this. If you're going to bet on politics, it's a little bit like betting on your own team at football, American football, baseball. You've got to be very careful. In fact, I strongly advise people not to bet on their own football team or cricket team or rugby team, whatever, because they have an emotional involvement. Now, never is that bigger than in political betting. In Britain, Conservatives want the Conservatives to win, so they tend to bet on the Conservatives. Labour fans want the Labour Party to win, so they tend to overwhelmingly bet on their own parties. In football games, in cricket games, people, 95% surveys show, bet on their own team to win. Now, why is that? Purely, I think, we claim to have expert knowledge of our own political party, our own football team, our own cricket team, but actually we have a huge emotional involvement. Now, let me ask you, when you watch this video, the first question you ask is, who does this guy want to win? What is his skin in the game? If he predicted that Brexit would be won and that Britain would leave the European Union, is he a Brexiteer? If he predicted that the Tories would win at the last election, Was he right because he's a Conservative? Now, those are interesting questions. Now, let me quickly inform you of my skin in the game. I do not want to wake up on the 4th of November and see that Joe Biden, get his name right, is the president of the United States. But let me be deadly clear. If I thought he was going to win, I would bet on him, because betting is my business and emotion goes out of the window. So the reason I think Donald Trump will remain as the president of the United States is not because I personally want him to win. It's because I feel at the current odds, he's a huge value bet. So let's clear that up. If you are prepared to bet on the opposite side to the one you want to win, then you have understood betting at value bets. If you can't bring yourself to vote for Donald Trump because you think you don't want him to win, then this isn't something you should be betting in. It's a little bit like when Liverpool play Manchester United. If a Liverpool fan sits there and thinks Man United are a good bet, can he go through with it and do it at the value, or can he not stop himself backing Liverpool? And the flip side, nothing ever brings our true colours out than either political betting or betting on our own team. So let's get that straight out of the way. I want you to forget what you want to happen on the 3rd of November, and let's look at why I think Donald Trump is an excellent wager. Let's go back to Blackpool. Blackpool was a solid Labour seat. The Tories have not won in Blackpool since the old king died. And the polls showed Labour having a 3, 4, even 5% lead. This was supposed to be a safe seat. With a 9% swing on election day that nobody forecast, Scott Benton took Blackpool and made it Conservative. This was done also in other safe Labour seats. Now, the relevance to this is, I believe, the same mistakes were made by pollsters in Blackpool as are being made by pollsters in America. In Britain, the vast amount of the media wanted a Labour win, or more importantly, wanted the Tories to lose. And I believe that biased media coverage here made people think that it was unlikely the Conservatives could win a majority, never mind a big majority. And reality swooped in at 10 p.m. and found that though throughout the campaign, the BBC, Sky, ITV, Channel 4, whatever, was saying this is too close to call, it's swinging behind Labour, because many of those media people wanted that to be the case, didn't transpire, because ordinary people had different viewpoints out there up in the northwest in Blackpool to the media bubble in London, who was doing 95% of the national broadcasting. And the pollsters simply didn't get to those working class people who had had enough of Labour and wanted a Conservative in position in Blackpool. And that's why Scott Benton won and shocked everybody. Now, when we look at Donald Trump, 95% at least of media coverage is against him in the mainstream channels. But I think that is only hardening up his support in his base. We've seen a huge summer of conflict, of rioting, of demonstrations in America that have led the media news, that have led everything every night. And it looks, in the media sense, as though everything has pulled away from Donald Trump. They give you polling which suggests Joe Biden is miles ahead, to back up this idea that people may as well stay at home and not vote for Donald Trump. Now, let's be very clear. I don't think either of these guys will go down as in the Hall of Fame as great either presidents or presidential candidates, but one of them has to win. COVID has brought unprecedented times, and often in times of fear, people stick with what they've got. And that would mean carrying on voting for Donald Trump. It doesn't necessarily mean they agree with his views on COVID or they agree with his foreign policy or anything. People's natural tendency is to stick. Also, he's the incumbent. We've seen through history, most presidents win a second term. People stick with what they've got. There was a huge survey which said 56% of people felt economically they were either the same or better than they were 4 years ago. That is a huge tick in Trump's corner, and it has been very, very underreported in the American media because simply that survey does not follow the narrative that people are deserting Trump in droves. Now, Joe Biden, I believe, is a weak candidate. I don't think he's inspirational. I don't think in the last few days he'll be able to get out and get people to vote. I think quite the opposite. I think people are casually interested in him, and they're more likely to stay at home and not vote or not fill in their online forms. Trump, on the other hand, tends to inspire. He's a Marmite figure. You either hate him or you love him. But if you do like him, you will get out there and vote. Working class Americans all over the Midwest feel they're disenfranchised, feel their voices never heard. And like 4 years ago, I believe they will take this opportunity to be heard. Does it mean they're 100% behind Donald Trump? No. Does it mean they like everything he says or does? No. They are not necessarily voting for whether Trump is a good guy. And again, this is where the media and the celebrities and the pollsters are going wrong. This is not an election about whether people personally support everything that Donald Trump says or tweets or does or believes. It's about the future of the next 4 years and their own personal economic well-being. And when they see rioting in the streets, statues being pulled down, and the police under threat, many of them will recoil against that. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. It's what will happen on the 3rd of November. So I believe that the polls are not giving you the full picture like they didn't 4 years ago. I believe in the last few days and the week of the campaign, there will be a hardening of Trump's support. And I believe at the very least, this is a 50-50 fight. And if it's a 50-50 fight and one guy is available at 15-8, nearly 2-1, then you have to back Donald Trump to remain as president of the United States. Currently, as I record this, you can get 15-8 with Betfred. Now, I believe on the day itself, the price 15-8 will have gone and Trump will harden. And I believe he will end up being around the 11-8, 6-4. So people will still go against him, but I believe the polls are wrong and that he will get over the line. I also think there's a separate bet of Trump to win the popular vote. Now, last time Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but Trump won in the Electoral College, which is their system of how you get in. So each state is allocated electors. California, New York get more, the smaller states get less, and you've got to get a certain number. I think it's 278 to get over the line. He got that, but Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. That's not how it's done. So Joe Biden could get more votes across the country and still lose. That's just an anomaly of their election system. But I have a feeling that Trump may just scrape the popular vote. I don't think he's likely to, but I did notice Sky Bet were offering 9-2 Trump to win the popular vote and the Electoral College. Now, if he wins the popular vote, I make that now about a 9-4, 5-2 shot. But 9-2 with Sky Bet, I think he's worth a small bet. So let me be very clear. I believe that at the current odds, 15-8 with Betfred, Donald Trump is an exceptional bet to retain his presidency. I'm going by the same forecasts I made for the Tories, with people not speaking to pollsters, not telling the truth. We go right back to the 80s in Britain when the pollsters identified a section of people who they called the Labour liars. Now, these people were interviewed by pollsters and said, are you going to vote for Margaret Thatcher, Conservative, or Neil Kinnock, Labour, the next election? All the media hated Thatcher, all the celebs. So people said to the pollster, I'm going to vote Labour. And they say up to 5-6% of the 5-6% of those people were in fact telling porky pies and voted for Margaret Thatcher when no one is looking. Pollsters can't gauge that, but if that were to go between 3, 4, 5% of silent Trump fans, then that will turn this election on its head. So I believe the people who are never reached by the media will speak on the Thursday night. Now, whether you're a Democrat, or whether you're a Republican, whether you're Labour, or whether you're Conservative, that is not the issue. It wasn't the issue about betting So separate your own thoughts. I believe with some cold analysis of how recent elections have worked on both sides of the Atlantic, that Blackpool in the northwest of England gives us a big clue for what is about to happen on the 3rd of November in America. And that I believe the man stood behind me, Donald Trump, will remain as president of the United States. Whether you like that or whether you don't, I think he's an exceptional bet at 15-8. And I also think to nick that popular vote, 9-2 is way too big. If you are going to have a bet in this election, never bet more than you can afford to lose. And when the fun stops, stop. But it's going to be quite a night. And I think a few of us will be staying up this side of the Atlantic to see just which one of these two takes over the most important job in the world. And you know, if you win a few quid on whoever is, all the sweeter. This is Simon Holden saying, give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this and it's made you think. And if you want more of my videos, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell for all notifications. Whoever you vote for, good luck, but a little bit better luck to Donald Trump. I'll see you soon.